come to the final piece of the reach, this unfinished called the reach. And before we conclude it, I think it's best we highlight the journey so far. So far we've talked about the struggles of going abroad and acclimatizing into the new environment, as well as the depression, the transitions, all of those. So for this next part, um, we are dealing with what we called the evolution, going past the problem. Do we actually have solutions for all these little quirks we've been talking about, and how we could possibly address them for the greater stakeholders? The greater stakeholders being, firstly, the communities we live in terms of them being able to reabsorb us back as functioning people who have gone through this period and came back with with a story to tell. Secondly, the government as sponsors of this particular program. What can we do to actually make this more efficient for our students who go through this channel? And then lastly, for the students who prepare for another journey, what can we say, or how can we prepare them for what they are about to face? So the whole entire atmosphere is encompassed by this hand, the breaking of chains. That hand in sharp it has changed to the close fist yaanong. It's e lemoga mosola wa gonna, the togetherness. It's no longer pretending to be fine, and it's trying to get rid of all those mental shackles we were talking about. So we've told them that the well is dry. Now we have to come up with solutions. How do we move forward now that we've said the well is dry?
Right. It's important to establish the importance of speaking out about what you're going through while it's happening.
Mm,
I think that's something that cannot go understated or
mm,
undersold, because there's very little we can do after the fact,
mm,
and a lot more can be done while you're going through it,
mm,
in my opinion. So that's point number one.
mm,
As to what can actually be done, that part becomes tricky
mm,
only for the sole reason that we've already stated, and as we've already mentioned, it's difficult to explain to someone exactly what you're going through. So
mm,
even if you do speak out about it, it's something that you're not really going to be able to grasp and fathom to its full extent, because you're not going through it
mm,
at the same time or in the same way that I might be. So, you know, I'm sure Paco's going to touch on this later as to, the support
mm,
that organizations such as hers provide and the support that can be provided in general.
mm,
I'm probably not I don't suppose I'm an expert on that
mm,
specific thing, but what I do know is the most important thing for me anyway was learning how to speak about my problems with somebody.
mm,
That's the biggest thing I could share with anybody.
mm,
And then the support can come in however it feeds in, because that's where it becomes again a bit more difficult to navigate, because not everyone requires the same kind of support. Some
mm,
people might need more than others,
mm.
and also in different ways. I may deal with my problems differently than you do.
True,
So that's when
true.
I'm like, it's a bit tricky. I can't really say this is the thing that's going to fix the problem.
Mm,
But on my end at least, what might help is just airing my problems out
uh,
with somebody who is willing to listen
mm,
and comes from a somewhat similar background
mm.
that I do.
I think my approach to this would be similar to how we approached the first one.
Mm,
If I break it down in terms of the three stakeholders, I'd say firstly we need the solutions for the students,
mm,
and I think the most important thing, I'd want the future students who are actually gonna go through this is the well is dry. Like, that's the very
You
first
need to
thing
know.
they must understand, because like we said, we were sold a completely different story beforehand,
mm,
which was, you know, the land of opportunities, etc., etc.
Mm.
And then we come back, and it feels like we are non-functional because, you've gone through hot and cold, and then back to hot again, and
Yeah.
people are wondering, how come you're not performing? And it's just there like, I am trying to perform. So I feel like before you go there, make sure that you have a firm grasp of the and expect the things that we are talking about, the transition, the need for you to maintain the connection, and for you to discriminate between the connections which you actually need and which one is actually just a pseudo support system. And then secondly, the government. I feel like the government needs to, take a better look at the program and see how they could actually deal with this program, because I don't see it. I feel like it's a great program all in all. Bona gore everything se e leng gore bana ba batla gore e se dire, I feel like it still has the potential to do all of those things. But in the meantime, there is this kink e leng gore we are hoping they get, they get more acquainted with and a better understanding, because we've only did this for 4 years. We tell these guys have been, they've met top achievers since the inception of the program, and this program might run for the foreseeable future. And that is a lot of kids that you are pumping into this machine, and we need to make sure that it's well oiled. It does what it needs to do, because at the end of the day, it's not sabotaging just the individuals, it's also sabotaging the nation. It's a lot of money being peddled behind this, as well as livelihoods. I feel like, yeah, it's livelihoods, or these are people's lives, man. You, we can't just treat them as digits, as that was just another student. There's one thing saying about, you know, going abroad. There was this thing mo kasi mo e leng gore o tla bo nna o di utlwalela di-story tsa bo, this person o tswa mahatsheng o bile wa tsenwa yanong, and it's just there like he's crazy ga tena a le ko mahatsheng, they did this and that, but
And it's always
ba tswa ke di-drugs, and it's just there like that can be our legacy. We can't do so much for it gore e helele mo phegong, e be nna gone gore, this person who kilana le botlhale, who kilana le botlhale doesn't pay bills. We need concrete answers, and we need concrete help. We need concrete support, and I feel like the closest thing to that in Leone, the, 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 the conception of the runway.
Enter me. Okay.
Q
So,
Pako.
I did mention earlier that I am an insight bringer and also a problem solver. Where I see a problem, or where I see gore systemic ba ka ngwa e down nyana e tlhoka go tweakiwa, there's this I don't know, this insatiable hunger and just drive within me to actually do something about it, even if it is just talking about it, right? So I'm going to talk about the runway, which is an initiative. It's not a program, it's an organization. E leng gore, really was created to be the support that we as students needed while we were going through all the different things that we were going through. The runway really is mandated to be that bridge between the dreamer, the student, and the dreams that this person has.
I like that.
Right? It's not necessarily like we are producing anything. We are just being that bridge to get you to what it is that you need as a student while you're going through the different stages of your journey. Right? And first, before I come to the runway, actually, let me just comment on this. I think this is the image of the student that the government or any other institutional sponsor has when they send a student out to study abroad. They envision this powerhouse of a human being coming back, breaking chains and kicking down doors and, establishing new ways of life.
Transformational.
And they don't, I think people don't fully understand or fully appreciate that to get to that point, you need to earn it. You go through so much fire, right? But back to the runway. The runway is an institution that really exist to make sure that those flames don't burn you so much. um, or really that you don't come out smelling like smoke. The runway really it deals with these three different stakeholders that we talked about earlier: the student, the sponsor, the family or guardians and parents, right? And what we seek to do is to educate, enlighten, equip, and also be there along the journey so that we are that listening ear and that support system that a student needs while they're away. So how we do that is through different programs that we run. Currently, we have 3 live programs globally. These programs include the One Mata scheme, which is our buddy system. The buddy scheme. And what our buddy scheme seeks to do is pair students up with mentors. As a student, going to whatever country it is I'm going to go study in, who is there in that country that I can actually speak to help prepare me on an getting unofficial, laid back, casual manner. Give me okay, what do I do? Who's actually there in my city? Is there somebody where I can start establishing a relationship with while I'm here?
Body system, I get
Buddy
it.
system,
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily just also for students that are just leaving Botswana, but as a student, I feel like I need somebody who has gone through what it is that I am going through right now to kind of shed light on how to navigate the system.
True, yeah.
So as a second year student, I can get a mentor who's in third year or even somebody who is already working, right, to help me to navigate those different routes that I want to take as well, right? So that's our buddy scheme. Second program, is live right now, is the Lekoko focus groups. So the Lekoko focus groups, the intention of it was to bring students together, either physically or virtually now, especially because of COVID, right? To bring them together in a way that they can discuss things that matter to them. So there are no prescribed topics, so to say, we say, okay, this is all we discuss and that's it. This is a platform for students to actually come together and discuss things that are affecting them, either being away from home, things that they're experiencing in whatever country they're in, or things that are happening back home that are impacting them because they are away from home, right? There's an opportunity for students to actually sit down together, speak about their experiences, learn from one another, create a community so that people don't feel isolated, and also come up with practical solutions to the different things that students are facing from one another, peer to peer, right? And also for us as the runway, this gives us an opportunity to know exactly what people are really struggling with so that we can kind of model programs that actually
Are better suited.
exactly
Yeah.
are better suited to targeting those problem areas because one person's situation is different from the next person's situation. And how can we incorporate things into our different programs that deal with and target those different pain points of different people, right? So that's the Lokhota focus group. And then number 3, we are calling the Runway Live. The Runway Live is an opportunity for us as the runway to interview different people. Interview people who are either currently students, interview people who were formerly students, interview different stakeholders, including potential employers, giants in different industries that students might be interested in. Get people to actually sit down and talk about their journey. How did they go from being a student? What did they study? How did they, navigate the employment industry?
The job market.
Exactly.
Et cetera,
How
et
do I
cetera.
get to where you are? These are potentially going to be role models for students to actually look up to and say, okay, this person did it this way. And in that way, kind of create an atmosphere for career guidance, which is one thing that we also noticed that a lot of students don't have before they actually pick their courses or pick their universities. And having these different avenues of getting information to students not only equips them to be better informed to be able to make decisions on the programs that they're going to study, but also on the universities that they're going to study. Because when we leave here, we're told pick top tier institutions. Top tier, sharp, but top tier doesn't cater for my learning needs. How is it that they teach at that university? Is it something that I can really handle? Because he talked about being Guelohora is just books, books. That's at the top, right? Where I'm at Kent and they look at the holistic being, their well-being, what, and do it so they're pushy.
Yeah.
And we eat it as an individual. That's another thing. Do people actually know themselves before they leave? So another thing that we're trying to push also preparatorily is self-awareness. Get to know yourself before you actually step out there, so that you can be able to better navigate from a place of self-knowledge and self-appreciation.
I like that.
Because sitheko sa gago ga se ke sa nteka sure se sharp se sentle one mme hela sa me ke sone se e leng gore se tlo ntekana better.
Compatibility.
Exactly. So I need to know myself so that I know which one fits me.
Yes, I'd like to take this opportunity to consolidate everything we have done so far, from the artworks to the conversation to the solutions. We firstly outlined the difference in the perspectives and the interpretations that came forth from all of these different, firstly, the problems that we faced, the transitions, the adaptations, the struggling, all of those things seemed personal to us when we were going through them. But it is through this collaboration that we actually realize there are more of us in this boat. And if we work towards getting everybody else to safety, we'll get everybody saved instead of just saving ourselves. Yes, Lamont, would you like to say your final words?
Firstly, on behalf of Pako and I'd like to thank you for offering us this platform to come and speak about these issues. None of this would have been possible without you, as much as I'm sure you appreciate having us here. Please be sure to go follow Pako's organization. I'm speaking to those of you that are watching right now. Please make sure to go follow the runway, go Google them, learn about what they do. Don't be shy to contact either one of us if you have any questions about anything we've discussed within this interview conversation. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Until
the next Unfinished.
Bye.
Until the next Unfinished. You want to do it together? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.